Okay, so we're going to do a couple of these, just method of joints. Ignore this. I'm just going to pull it out and do method of joints, and we're going to start over here at the left. I could find my reactions and try to decide over here, but when you have a cantilever, a lot of times you can just start where the load is and move your way over. So, isolate G. I'm going to have a free body diagram of my joint G, and I have 10 kips coming down. I have a force in GF, a force in GH, and we are 12 over to 16 up. That's a 3 to 4 ratio. So I have a 3, 4, 5 slope. If I start with summing forces X, I'll have 2 unknowns, so I'm going to start with summing forces in the Y direction. So if I sum forces in the Y direction, up is positive, I have 4 fifths times FGH minus 10 equals 0. Okay, so I have 4 fifths FGH equals 10. So my force GH I have 10, 5 times, yes, I know it's low battery, so I need to get 5 times 10, okay, 5 times 10 is 50 divided by 4, and I get 12.5 kips. I got a positive value, so I know that I am in tension, 12.5 kips, which makes sense. If I only have these two members with X components, if this is coming down, I'm going to have to be going up. Okay, so now I can sum my forces in the X direction, and I have force of GF plus 3 fifths of 12.5 equals 0. So FGF equals negative 3 fifths times 12.5, and I get F of GF equals 12.5, 3 times 5 divided by, I get a negative 7.5 kips, so I get 7.5 kips in compression. Okay, so I can now go up to my overall picture, which we're going to erase this hullabaloo, and I have 7.5 kips in compression and 12.5 kips in tension. If I look here, 1, 2, 3 unknowns, I cannot do that with method of joints, 1, 2. So I can now isolate H. So I can do a free body diagram of my joint at H. And I'm in tension, so we're pulling down 12.5. We still are at that 3 to 4 slope. I have the force in HI and the force in HF. Totally X, totally Y. So if I sum the forces in the X direction, I'm going to have HI, those equal 0. HI minus, okay, it's in tension, which is pulling to the left, so it's negative according to equilibrium, so minus 3 fifths times 12.5 equals 0. So HI equals, so we have 12.5 times 5 divided by 3, 12.5, okay, 5 times, oops, 5 divided by 3 times, and I get 7.5 kips, also in tension, which makes sense. If I look at this, this is the same triangle as this. I have X, Y, slope, X, Y, slope. So I should get, if this is 10 kips, I should get that this is also 10 kips, but we'll do the math to find out. So HI is 7.5 kips in tension. So let's erase this markup here. We have 7.5 kips in tension. Now let's sum forces in the Y direction. And I have HF, which is negative minus 4/5 times 12.5 equals 0. So HF equals negative, because I've had to pull that over. 4/5 times 12.5. Get 12.5. 4 times 5 divided by, and I get HF is negative 10 kips. HF equals 10 kips in compression. So I come over here, 10 kips in compression. So now as I'm coming across, I can see 1, 2, 3 unknowns. Can't really work on that, but here we have 1, 2 unknowns, and I need to take into account GF as well. So let's look at joint F. And I'm just going to isolate it. And I have an unknown FE. I have an unknown FI. And it's at the same 3, 4, 5 ratio. I have HF, which I found HF is in compression, so it's pushing down at negative 10. And I have GF. And I found that GF is in compression. Okay, it's in compression, so it's 2 pushing on that. So I have 7.5. So there's my free body diagram. Both have X's, so we're going to start with Y's. We're going to sum those forces in the Y direction equals 0. We have negative 10 plus 4/5 Fi equals 0. Fi Fi is going to equal 12.5 kips in tension. So we come back up here, and I have 12.5 kips in tension. Now, when I sum forces in the X direction, I get 7.5 plus 3/5 times 12.5 plus FB. Gosh, they're all pushing to the right, so I'm guessing I'm going to get a compression member. FB equals negative. So we have 5 divided by 12.5 times 7.5 plus, and I get a negative 15 kips. So F of FE equals 15 kips in compression. 15 kips in compression. Okay, I now have, back up here, 2 unknowns. Set that up, solve here, 2 unknowns. Okay, 2 unknowns, set it up, 2 unknowns. And I can go all the way through my truss using method of joints.